So welcome to Jane Challinor, a virtual leader on Twitter, @virtualleader on Twitter. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. My first question to you, why do you think there was a need for a specific PLE conference?
Well, I think why it's been important for me is that I think it's very difficult to kind of define the PLE, and there's a lot of confusion about, is it a tool, is it a concept, is it about networks and so on. And I think what's been really interesting about the conference is that actually there is a room for lots of different definitions and debate and discussion around that. So I think if people are going to utilise something like a PLE in education, they do need to have a lot more clarity about what it is they're attempting to do. I guess my own conclusion is that there is no such thing probably as a thing, that it is really about an approach to education, and it is about utilising networks and utilising a variety of tools. So in that sense, that's been really liberating for me in terms of how I think I might use a PLE, if such a thing exists, in as an approach anyway to education.
Yes.
So yeah, getting clarity I think for people and debate.
Yes, absolutely. And for me, like specifically doing that with other people who've been working on it, because it would be very difficult for me to find someone in my own institution that I could have that debate with.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
And what could be better than coming here to Barcelona to have that debate?
I know, and you're getting into my second question,
Okay.
which is, what are your impressions of this very first PLE conference held here in Citilab in Barcelona?
Well, it's a great place to come. The weather's been fantastic. I think the venue is amazing. It's a really beautiful space, and the fact that it's just really well air conditioned. It's made everything sort of run smoothly. So we've been very well taken care of in every sense. It's been a fantastic place, and it's set the bar really high, I think, for any future conferences. And I think one of the really exciting things has been the direct invitation to people to think a little bit differently about conference format, because frankly I don't much like conferences. I don't like sitting in auditoria for hours on end listening to people talk and going away wondering what was all that about, and what's been really valuable has been to be able to connect with other people and have that space. I think my favourite session so far has to have been the keynote this morning with Geordie and Ishmael, because I think that was just brilliant. I like the fact that we were all moving around and voting with our feet, and there was a kind of rabble element going on, and it was just very unconferencing, and I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was going to be my next question to you, which is there've been very different formats. People have been encouraged to think of different ways of presenting their information. You already mentioned Jordi and Ismail's on keynote. What other ones will you take with you? Can you name two that you will take with you?
Okay, well, an immediate one that's just happened or a couple of hours ago was the interviews with the students in Ricardo's project, and I think just that of actually having real life students there to talk to and ask them and get them to share their experiences and be able to explore some of those things in a bit more depth. It's just so different from a professor standing up and saying, and this is what my students thought, as if we could ever really find the truth there. So that was great just to hear all those experiences. I'd certainly like to do more of that in anything that I was going to do in future. And the other one I'll mention, and it's not out of any kind of vanity, but the session that I chaired, I was asked to do something really different, and it wasn't my own invention. It was something that emerged out of conversation with Ricardo, but we kind of did an adaptation of the World Cafe. And I really had cold feet about it, and I was quite nervous about how it would work. But getting people to do very short focused presentations and then taking people into conversations with those presenters in separate tables, moving them around, scribing, making notes, and just generally chatting about the ideas, rather than again in a big auditorium format, it seemed to work really well and people responded well. So I feel confident now that I could kind of take that somewhere else and try it again.
Yes, absolutely. And I think for conferences it's important that you actually stimulate the conversation, because there are 30 experts in the room, not the one at the
Absolutely.
front. So I really enjoyed that session as well. Okay, so Jane Challinor, thank you very much for talking to us today, and thank you for your contribution.
Thank you. It's been lovely to meet you too.
Thanks.